Morning, everybody, and welcome to Trading Fast and Slow, where we trade fast and slow. Let's get into what's going on today, right? So we can see, and we're going to look at it a little bit zoomed out, just so we can kind of see what's going on. But so we had overnight inventory inside the previous day's range. For the most part, overnight inventory went like this. So overnight inventory was pretty much 100% net long. Initially, off of the open, we didn't get a counter auction. The market peaked up above overnight inventory, couldn't get above the overnight high. Barely made it above the T2 high, even though this is technically T2 at this point, but not how I'm looking at it really. The market didn't gain any steam. No buyers showed up. The market then started to liquidate. All these overnight traders started to get pushed out, right? We know overhanded traders are weak, and boom, down here. And now we're starting to form a little bit of value down here lower around yesterday's low and around the previous day's low. We're kind of hovering right around that 4101 level right now, as we've seen is a big area, right? It's the monthly balance low. I'm thinking, like I said, if we were able to get below this 31 to 28 level, I was really trying to target this gap. We hit the 4101. I closed pretty much all of my trade there. I have one lot left, and my stop loss is at 15, and I've been just giving it some space because I think if the market stays below 15, we could go down there and get that gap. But above 15, I think that there'll probably be some short covering above, just because of how aggressive these late sellers really kind of tried to pile on. So I don't really want to get caught in a run of all these single prints, right? And it's a lot of single prints, so you can just tell the emotion that's in the market on the way down today with something like this, right? Like a market that's not this emotional won't just leave a bunch of single prints and just all of a sudden hold for the rest of the day. It's just, I don't know, it just seems a little bit too much. So I think that there might be a test back into it. Wag one Bitcoin, Brad. Gunna from Deo. What's up, man? What's up, Caesar? Oh shit. Morning, Tommy. Morning, Zoe. Morning, Adam. Morning, LUP. From the East Coast, ATL. Morning, Trin. Morning, Pop. Morning, everyone on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch that doesn't comment, but just lurks in the background. Don't be afraid, right? Even if you ask a dumb question, I won't be mean. Unless it's Jared that asks a dumb question, then I'll be mean. For Bitcoin today, we can see Bitcoin has come back down to that weekly VWAP. Broke the low of yesterday's low, and is just kind of trying to hang on down here. I wouldn't be surprised to see a little bit of structure repair here up on top of this previous big balance area, right? If we came down, we talked about this. If it comes down, tests this level, holds, we should be able to see some more upside possibly. Market's coming back down to that 4101 here. A lot of volume coming in down here at the lows, but price isn't really going lower, which is interesting. Oh, almost done. Ranko, yo. How much bread you got for man? What do you mean? What do you mean, Gunna? Flying Pop, hello. Hey. Ah. Musk orders Tesla staff to return to office as remote employees pretend to work. Damn. The Federal Reserve said that over 6 million Americans used crypto as a method for payment last year. That's a lot. So here goes D period, trying to make a little bit lower. Let's watch this 95 level. That was kind of a big area that they had a tough time breaking some absorption down there. There's been some really interesting um there's been some really interesting moves today. Uh you know, if I'm being honest. Um as far as like how aggressive or how I mean, it looked like buying, but it looked like, absorption on the buy side. Like they were trying to just slowly buy the dip, once the market got down. So it looked like they tried like on the 25, then again on the 20, then again on the 15, then the 10, then the 5, and then again on the 95 as well, it looked like. So those kind of give you targets, really, if the market does, fail to continue going down to the upside and it starts to turn back to the upside, those give you those target levels that you can imagine that sellers will try to defend, because those are levels that people are short from. Markets have been green for some time now. A pullback or at least chop for some days makes sense. Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, if we look at this on a bigger scale too, it's similar to the Bitcoin, right? We've had this kind of pop up off of the low after balancing lower, right? A little bit of balance here, popped up, got a nice trend day, opened on the gap, and then failure to close the gap, and then we're just kind of balancing up higher at this point now too. And this is kind of the low of my balance, and this is what I was trying to explain last night in the trade view. So the way that I'm looking at the balance is going to be from this high down to this 4101, and that's kind of going to be like my balance for today. So if we get accepted below this 4101, I think that gap is going to be next, and then maybe this point of control, right? We can see very prominent close point of controls to each other, so that could be the target below if it's able to fill that gap. But if the market does fail to keep coming down and we do get a cessation of one time framing this early inside of a balance area, the market will become rotational for the most part and probably just chop around for the rest of the day and give us a whole lot of nothing. On the economic calendar, we do have a lot of news coming out today, or a lot of numbers at least coming out today, and I think there is some Fed speakers as well. Let me pull up my economic calendar real quick. What's today? Tuesday or Wednesday? Wednesday. Yeah, so we had ISM manufacturing PMI come in. It was a beat. The JOLTS jobs came in pretty much as expected. Bank of Canada raised their interest rate 0.5, which was expected. We've got FOMC member Williams speaking in 17 minutes. And then Bullard on at 10, which is in like 2 hours, a little bit less than 2 hours. And then that's it for today. And then, tomorrow we've got those non-farm payrolls, and that's at 5:15 before the market opens. Initial jobless claims 5:30 before the market opens. Non-farm quarter over quarter, unit labor costs, right? A bunch of reports right before the market opens at 5:30, about an hour before the market opens. And then 30 minutes after the market opens, we have durables excluding defense. Then we have crude oil inventories at 8, an hour and a half after the market opens. And then that's pretty much it for Thursday. And then Friday, we just have a bunch of numbers coming out before the market opens: hourly earnings year over year, non-farm payrolls, private equities, ISM manufacturing, PMIs, like Fed Brainerd is on. So a bunch of just a bunch of news really, or economic data releases coming out this weekend, and we'll just have to really kind of pay attention and see how the response is to them. I think Friday might be the bigger move than anything. Might push down to 40.96. Yeah, I definitely think that's possible. Yeah, remember we have this gap down here, and so that's where I would imagine if it does break and is able to take that A low, that it would probably try to fill this gap. It just seems to be struggling as it gets low, right? We see 174 contracts straight on the low here, and we're just not getting the tempo that we had early on, right? We had pretty good tempo on the way down until that C low, and since that C low has kind of just been more or less just ranging. We can kind of see where the resistance is starting to form as price is getting below it, right? Let's see if it can break that. Remember that 95 level is the level that we need to get below. There's that 95. Let's see if they can give it. Strong response off that. 95. Yeah, Zoe, it is. It's the last 30 minutes. So initially when I put it on, it was an accident. Um, but then I just left it on. So yeah, it's the last 30 minutes. So yeah, it kind of extends over. It's kind of like it. There goes that 95. See if they can get going. Looking for this low here is about 79.50. Little volume moving down. It really looks like the reason that the market can't just keep flushing is because of short covering, to be honest. There's like there's not a big, volume increase going on or anything like that. About 12% less than yesterday. You can see the breadth is getting pretty red here. 2 to 1 on both to the downside. All the sectors are red. You can see Apple here starting to break its low of the day, getting close to that pre-market low. That could start to bring the market down even more. And then if
oil and gas is red.
oil is green.
Okay, just sectors. Sorry, I was just talking about the
Oh
sectors.
yeah, sectors, yeah. But yeah, utilities, yeah, everything is red. Energy.
Yeah, I'm showing, well, I mean, this is the reason why I'm asking is because I think that I must be calculating wrong, but my energy is showing green and my oil is showing green. But if you're saying it's red, then I must be doing something wrong.
It could be
Okay.
based off of, so like,
I think I'm basing it off the previous close.
yeah, and I'm basing it off of the open. That's why.
Okay, so I need to modify mine. That's okay.
It's
I
I
should be.
mean it's either way. It doesn't. I mean it's not this like my way or your way.
It's
That
just a matter of whether it's
yeah.
calculating down. Okay, I was just curious. I think I originally did it that way, and I didn't like it for some reason because it didn't match something you were doing. But all right, I'll have to fix it. Oh well, thanks.
Yep. You ever stop at 41.18, covered one here, 93, letting the runner run. Yeah, we see another reaction down there. What was that at the 92 quarter? Looked like some sellers may have gotten trapped down there, just a bunch of short covering. Oops, let me move this back over. Pretty big sell orders down here. Look at this sell order right here. 1118, 492 quarters, 718 lots traded on the bid. A pretty big sell order. Great accident. Yeah, it was. It was just like random. You know, I just put it on there and I put it for 30 minutes, but it just ended up doing the last 30 minutes. And then I just was like, yeah, it's kind of cool. I'll just leave it. Morning, Dad. You know, Pop, I'm reading your comment in the Discord right now. And I kind of like when I was reading your trade plan also. And I do read like anytime anyone posts it, I read like everyone's trade plan. Um, but the the statement that you made that you said that you don't know anything, and you know, and it might just be you know, you've been having a rough time or something like that. But the statement itself, I think, is one of the statements that almost every trader eventually has to understand, that you don't know, right? And that's a big key, is that nobody does know. Um, you know, and I think that's so key to understanding that, and you know, really just by identifying that, I think it puts you in a better place than a lot of people that, you know, maybe think that they know and they've been riding a hot streak, or, you know, getting lucky. I mean, understanding that you don't know and that every trade that you take has probabilities and not exact endings that you can predict is, I mean, I think a mental block that a lot of people get stuck behind and fail to push through. And really, like, I mean, I really liked it. Like, you know, you're like, I mean, you did make it funny, but just saying that you're just gonna sit and watch, like, you know, there's so many times um that I've done that I've just sat and watched the computer like for so long and just never made a trade because I just, you know, was uncertain either way and didn't want to make the risk. Careful above this 95 here. They keep selling this 92, but it just looks like short covering still coming in. Only 9 contracts straight on that low. Guessing in the right direction. Yeah, and that's the thing. If you can, especially because, you know, on the ES we're not really looking for the market to move too much. I mean, depending upon how you're trading, but necessarily you don't really need it to move that much. The issue becomes like, you know, wanting to you know, trade the ES where you can just make you know, a 2 point trade and make $100 and call it a day or something like that. So there goes the low. We're gonna be looking for this gap down here, 79. Um, what was it? Things just, every time we break a low, shorts just get scared and start covering. Still 9 contracts straight on that low here. They're trying. There they go. They get a couple more. There they go. But yeah, I mean, honestly, like if you're able to just, you know, wait for the trend to kind of show itself and then just get in with it when we're looking for these kind of small moves sometimes on the ES, right? I mean, it's just a matter of staying patient. The thing is sometimes it takes all day to set up. AMD hit a low for the day. Yeah, AMD is just still hanging out up here. Like it's like it hasn't broken that previous day's low. There's a week's reference down here though, 89.75.
You think it has more down?
I don't know. I don't know with AMD because
Kind of back and forth.
yeah, it's like
I still don't know how my algo picks it, dude. I swear to you. I
in the,
mean, if I had actually done what I thought I should do, I would have gotten into a call today. But it said nope, and I just kind of let it ride, and I was like praying that it would pull it out. But it did. It did. So far, anyway. We'll see if it actually stays. But
well, and you got in on at the right time too.
well, it was right there in those first few candles. Well, 5 minute candles for me, but yeah, or three. I'm sorry, 1 minute candles for me because of the algo. But yeah,
It's weird that like the chip makers are just not coming down as much as the rest of the market is.
I think it. In my opinion, I think it comes down to the fact that we will just need more chips, even though their supply is down. Nobody. I mean, you're not going to get away from needing more chips. Period.
Right, exactly. Yeah, they know that. And that's actually a good point for people that are looking for more longer term plays. What we're seeing right now is a lot of companies try to pretend, and I say pretend because I really think that no companies have employees or uh, shareholders' best interest in mind. They really just want the money. But we're seeing basically them say that they're going to give all their money back to shareholders because the market's coming down. They're like, oh yeah, we're going to change it and we're going to do all these dividend buybacks and raise our dividends and blah blah blah, to try to get people to buy their stock before it just keeps getting massacred for the rest of the year. Um, it's an interesting kind of tactic that it seems like a lot of them are trying to employ. Almost down to that previous low here. Let me drag this in so we can see where it's at. Looking to get to that gap. You got scared on those lows, Ranko? Eh, it happens. That's why sometimes you just gotta let the trade work out, man. You had your stop in a great place because you had your stop at that 18. We didn't even get close. We only came back up to like the 5 or something. Now this will be an interesting spot for me because uh, according to my trade plan, this is a buy area. Um, because I think you might see a lot of short covering down here and then also some responsive buyers maybe defending this gap. So if we come into this gap and start to see some weakness from sellers, I think that that might be an area to go for. Of course, we'd have to get there first, but this thing's one tick above that A open, the open of what day is this? The 27th. Been shorting the shit out of Stefan token, GST and GMT. Nice. Nice. GST's gonna absolutely smack today, huh? Hell yeah. So that's a pretty decent reaction right there off of that low, but we've got a chunk of volume in here too. So it really just to me kind of looks like short covering for now. We've got 47 seconds, 46 seconds until the next period opens up. There's looking like decent odds that we open up with some single prints above. So we'll see what they do or what they've got to see if they're going to close them or hold them. So yeah, CRM was up fat today too. You're in an ADA short as well? Damn, you're just shorting everything. East. NBA championship starts tomorrow. Dubs probably just gonna, sweep the Celtics. Watch this 92 level if it pops up. 92 was a level that they got kind of busy. See, we still have those single prints above. So 92 would be an area that we could imagine that if they are going to hold the singles, that's where they're going to hold it at. Buyers trying to step up on the 90 here, but too much luck. It's going to be an epic series. Yeah, that's a lot going on. A lot of shorts. I remember those days. I used to be shorting like all of crypto or longing all of crypto, depending upon which way it was going. It used to be, I mean, it used to just correlate nice. Like, if you got into a Bitcoin short, you could probably just pop on an ADA short and they'd probably go well. Did you guys see, I saw something on Twitter yesterday about Luna 2.0. So there's the 92. They're holding for now, one single print left. But yeah, there's like, I saw this thing, Luna 2.0. It's like, are people really going to buy Luna and trust this guy again after you just Bernie Madoff them? Bank of England's Hosser, or however you say that, said digital currencies may shift central bank assets. Fed Williams says stablecoins and CBDC carry risks as well as opportunity. Fed Williams said the role of the central banks will remain to supply liquidity and stability, but digital currencies could change implementation. Yeah, Luna 2.0. Yeah, I don't understand it. Short Luna Classic 2.0. Yeah, I don't get it. I don't understand why are people ready to throw down on that and they just got. I mean, you saw a fucking regular Luna go from like 100 to 0 in like a day. It went up to 11 May 31st and is now down to 6. Yeah, maybe I'm just not understanding the draw to it, I guess. So watch the 92 to 95 here. If the market does bounce up, we kind of close those singles, but seemed a little bit mechanical to me. But that could just show the weakness of buyers as well. We could just keep continuing to the downside. Just make sure that you're watching that 92 to 95 area. That's where all the volume came in. And we could kind of see it right here. So if we get above that, we can assume that probably come up to that 4101 again. Oh, it doesn't have a stable coin. A layer 1 blockchain. I'm not that advanced. I have no idea what that means. They're talking about giving something to stakeholders for their losses. Sounds like made illegal buy time cover. Yeah, it's probably probably bull crap, I think. It just doesn't seem legit, you know what I mean? Like it just seems not legit. But let's see if E period's gonna try to take this low here and then try to fill this gap. Layer 1 means in their own blockchain with their own apps. Oh, not connected to any other. Oh, okay, I see. And that guy kind of thinks. I mean, that just seems like then he has full control to move to move it wherever he wants. I feel like. Check Doge real quick. There's just a tweet about Elon Musk. Musk hits back after Dogecoin creator calls him a grifter. Biden says we need to see more women in top ranks. Whatever that means. It looks like, it looks like short covering down here. Be careful right here. If this thing gets above that 92, 95 area, it could start to rally up to like that. I mean, even up higher after that 4101, there's a lot of shorts that may be trapped down here. Let's look at the volume. Volumes are still about 10% less than yesterday, so Nothing too crazy. Remember yesterday was like 60% less than Friday, so not a lot of volume here. Look, 600,000 contracts only, and we're already in E session. About 200,000 overnight. They hold it down, so there's that 87. It looked like the level that they held it down on. We'll watch that 87 level. Oh, 1 second. Hello? Hey. You're where? You're. Oh, okay. Yeah, I can. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, I'll be right out there. Okay, bye. All right, guys, I gotta run for like 15 minutes. But I will be back. Let's put some music on while I'm gone.
Let the trash talk begin.
Oh yeah, or you guys could just chat it up. I don't need to put music on. All right, I'll be back.
You could totally just set up a YouTube channel of this chart going right here.
Yeah.
People would watch, I'm telling you. And it broke the low.
Yep.
Kind of thought that was what was going to happen. Well, kind of hoped, maybe more than thought, but either way.
So they'll watch and wait for me because there's a bunch of trap sellers down there. It looks like.
Are you in?
No, I'm just watching right now.
Got it.
But there's that gap that we're really close to. So
Yeah, it's like bumping up against it.
Oh.
Oh,
we're there. We're there.
I think we're and 173 contracts. That's not a slough.
Well, I think
Oh,
they're
419. Holy cow.
going to fill it.
They are
They're going to
pushing.
fill it. They're
They
pushing
are
hard. There we
pushing
go.
this thing. Oh my goodness. Well, all the better
Well, they
for
touched
me.
it.
I'm in a short right now, but I'm in a short in AMD, not in the ES, but
Yeah,
still.
right.
But it's very, very tightly meshed for the most part. I'm not going to say it's never bucked the system, but I would say
They
probably
correlate pretty good. Is that what you're saying?
I'd say between 90, low 90s, they correlate pretty well. When when the ES goes down, the AMD goes down. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Brad's going to be sad he missed out on all the fun.
Hey, Stacy, can I pick your brain for a minute?
Sure.
When you're making your trade plan in the morning, what is it that you look for, and how do you take that information and develop that into a plan? Because I can read the information pretty confidently. It's just when I go to make my plan, I'm like, well, this shows strength, this shows weakness, and how do you balance those? And it's like, okay, well, then how do you develop a bias, but then also be willing to recognize when that is not working out, and then you need to make a new plan type of deal. So what is it that you do?
Well, so back when I was actually trading just based on value, what I would do is I would look at where the gaps. So I would look at where the current, like right before open, or I don't know, 30 minutes before, 20 minutes before open, I would look at where it was in relation to the previous day's value, and then where the gaps were that need to be filled, and sort of gauge based on that. I will say, I struggled with that, which is why I ended up writing an algo, because it
Okay.
is right far more than I am.
Okay.
Because, and as a programmer, I mean, I will say there is nothing set in stone. There's no perfect solution to any of it, as Brad has mentioned many times. But the struggle that I have is that what would happen is I would get into a bad trade, and then I would fight it, and I would say, oh no, this is going to come back, or this is going to do this, or this is going to do that, and in the end, it's all relative. I mean, you're basically only just proving yourself to be right, or hoping to prove yourself right, when in the end it's not about right or wrong, it's about making money or not making money.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
So for me, what I ended up doing was I've downloaded data since August. I mean, I actually started even before that, and I threw away a bunch of it just because it didn't have some of the stuff that I wanted.
Okay.
And then I wrote an algo that went and used that and tracked certain characteristics in order to refine that and basically kick out an algo that was right more often than it was wrong. I won't say it's perfect, but it was right more often than it was wrong.
Yeah.
And I've been tracking that thing for a while. For the past, I mean, well, obviously since August, I can go back and historically test it and validate that it would work based on the data that I've downloaded. And for the past 3 weeks or 2.5 weeks, I've been running it, actually even longer than that. But I up 3 weeks ago, I actually got it to the point where it was automated. And what would happen is that the algo would say, hey, I'm going to do this. And I would look at it and go, oh, that's BS. I'm getting so I would let it do its buys, and then I would stop it and say, no, I'm going to get out of this. And I dumped a couple of them. There was like one that I dumped at, I don't know, I was up like $45 or something like that. And I was just like, I just don't feel like this is going to stay positive for the day.
Yeah.
And it ended up that the algo made $744, and I made 46. And I'm like, at what point do I believe that the algo is more correct than it's wrong? And that's the problem, is that you're always going to second guess yourself. And so, like you were saying, when you're like in a trade and you're like, when do I switch? When do I not switch? The reality is that it's more psychological. There's actually a book about this. I know Brad has talked about a book about this, but it's more psychological than it is like based on what's actually happening in front of you.
Yeah.
Like you're fighting your own emotion of, do I get out? And then what'll happen is you'll say, you know what, I'm cutting this trade, I'm going to get out. And then you'll get to the end of the day, and if you had just stayed in it, not only would you have actually gotten back above zero, but you would have made, let's say, I don't know, 20%.
Yeah.
And you're like, damn, why did I do that? And then of course that just adds to the fear of you making a bad decision. And then the next day, you're like, no, F it, I'm staying in the whole day. and then you're down 40% at the end of the day, and you're like, what? Yesterday I did it wrong because I didn't stay in, and now I'm wrong because I stayed in.
Yeah.
So in my opinion, and this is I'm assuming this is pretty much how Brad does things, is you make your trade plan and you play it. And I don't know if you do it in paper or if you do it like you just watch it and say, was my trade plan right? And basically do that for a long time. I mean, mind you, I have been running numbers since the end of 2020. So I didn't just like jump
Okay.
in, and I can tell you I lost a fair amount of money trying to play that was just bad and wrong. I mean, I just wasn't doing very well at it.
Yeah.
And I'll just say I lost. I think in a single trade I lost 4 digits.
Ooh.
So
That's
and it was
healthy.
because I was chasing my tail, and that was when I realized I can't do that. And it's because my emotions don't lend themselves for me to be able to do it without. Oh, Brad's back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm back. You guys can keep going.
Anyway, so what I ended up doing was having to just watch. So I would do my thing where I would go through the value, and I played paper. So since August, using Brad's method of like I was telling you, I would look at the value areas. I would look at where it's at pre-market, and I had alerts that would come up saying this one is above value and this one is below value. And then I also had another one that would like say when it was going like and this would be midday, but like if it was headed from high above value through POC into low value, and the market trend was headed down. So I'd have different alerts, and I played paper, and I will tell you, I did not have a single down day. Mind you, paper is never perfect, so
Right.
it's never going to be. But I did not have a single down day trading that method between August of last year all the way through like February. And I mean, I've had down days, but what I realize is, first of all, paper is never going to be perfect. You're never going to get an exact duplicate of paper because number one, your emotions aren't there, and number two is that paper does weird things like you'll put in a buy and it'll buy it 5 cents lower or whatever.
Yeah.
And so you can't always just say, oh, that's definitive, this is solid, I'm actually doing, good work here. So I realized I have to start doing this in real because I did it for 5 months. So I basically traded in paper for 5 months, and I had it I won't say rock solid, but it was relatively doing well.
Yeah.
And then I started doing it in real, and I did well with it when I did two things different. One of the things that I did before is one of the changes I made in August, and this is before that point I didn't do this. I only ever traded a single contract.
Okay.
So no matter what trade I got in, I only got in one contract. I would say, looking back at that, I would say that I would probably say it's okay to buy two if you're like an MES and you're not going to lose a huge amount of money. But in the ES, I mean, at 250 a contract, I don't know. I would say that probably one contract is fine.
Yeah.
But get into a contract based on what your trade plan is. Let it go for a little bit and see if you were right. And just look for the 5 to 10% get out to build up the confidence of, yes, I made a right decision. Over time, you're going to be able to read the market better and look at the dynamics of how things are trading. There's a word Brad uses for it, but I can't think of what it's called. But the sale. Look, there's auction. The auction. He says, watch
Okay.
the
The
auction.
auction, yeah.
Yeah. So over time, you'll get better at that. But like trading a single contract for me made like that was like a complete eye-opening change for me, because I was doing two. I would like, oh, this is doing this. I was looking at the trend, and I would get into two, maybe three contracts, and then it would go in the wrong way, and then I would be down, let's say $50 or $100, and in my brain, I'm like, I don't want to lose money. I don't want to lose money, and I dump it, and then literally, no more than two candles later, I would have been back in positive. And it was all because my emotions was like, no, don't do it. Don't do it. But if you're down 15, $20, you're like, let it ride. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
And
For
so,
sure.
the single contract made a huge difference for me. And so once I did that, that was when I started in August. Before that point, I was kind of all over the map. And then in February, when I started doing actual trading, it was a little bit more complicated because there was a little bit more
Emotion.
emotion, and the fact that I I switched. So back in August, I was trading I have 40 tickers that I track, that I download the data for.
Okay.
And back in August, I saw a pattern in AMD, and that was when I really started to hone in. Okay, so what is it I'm actually seeing here? What is it that I'm actually looking at and being able to turn it into something usable? And so that sort of drove the focus on AMD. And because I was only trading in AMD, it's a little bit more complicated because you can't necessarily, there's like not the ability to say I'm hedging my bet because I'm getting in this one and that one. You're in the one and that's it. And that, because splitting my focus would have been really hard for me to do because I had so many things to figure out. And that was part of the reason why I wrote the algo is that I actually said in February, I saw the pattern, I wrote the algo, and I started actually refining it. And then, I don't know, probably about 2 months ago, so like maybe end of March, I actually saw something that I could have an automated bot do for me.
Okay.
And number one, it removed the emotion. So, well, to a degree, because the problem is like I was saying, the bot beats me. That's the problem, is that I get in there and the bot is like, saying, oh, buy this, and then you're $200 down, and you're like, holy shit, I gotta get out of this thing. And so then I'll sell it off, and then the bot will come back into positive, and it's fine. And I'm like, damn it, why did I do that? And so it's number one. So I'm a programmer, and I don't fucking trust computers worth nothing. just so we're clear, technology is not your friend. Technology is not your enemy, but is certainly not your freaking friend.
Okay.
So anyway,
Yeah.
for me, like I was saying, single contract, huge world of difference. Because if it's going in your direction, or even if it's not, if you let it run, let's say 20%, it's not the end of the world. If you do multiple contracts, it makes it harder. I will say that as you get better, or you have more money, it makes sense to do multiple contracts, because then if you want to get in additionals to hedge, or to either remove your to move your level of in, or your margin point, I can't even think of what that term would be called, but your liability point, so how much it's costing you, so that you
Okay.
can get out sooner, or if you're like wanting to double down when it's trending in your direction, that it makes it easier so that it keeps that level lower when you have multiple contracts. And mentally that makes sense. But I will tell you that for me, it was all about, I don't want to lose.
Yeah.
And I literally, and I mean, still, I have an algo that has proved that that ran all the way through August, and it makes money. I'm not going to say it makes $1 billion, but it makes money. And I mean, I still have trouble trusting it. And so it's the same premise, is my emotions are the biggest hindrance to this whole scenario. So if you can get out of your own freaking way.
It really is. It's just so true. Like, it really is just so true. It's like most of the time people struggle is that they're tripping on their own shoelaces.
Well, that's the weirdest part, is the algo. I mean, I have run my numbers all the way back through August, and you figure that's what, 10 months worth of data.
Yeah.
And it's positive. It doesn't make money every day. There are days that it loses money. There is one day that it loses like $800 or something like that. But the reality is that either at some point I have to shit or get off the pot. And that's the problem, is that I keep looking at my algo, and every single day between when I started noticing the trend and I started watching it and saying, would this work? Would this work? Would this work? And it was basically making money. And then I put it in place and let it run. And then it would be in a trade in the middle of the day, and I would say, nope, I'm getting out. I would dump it, and then I would let the algo would finish out the day, and it would say, oh, you would have made X number of dollars. And I'm like, fuck, when am I going to when am I either going to believe that I actually wrote something that's worthwhile and works, or I'm going to continue to, shoot myself in the foot by second guessing. Honestly, I'm second guessing myself because I wrote the fucking algo in the first place.
Yeah.
So
All right.
anyway.
Yeah.
So again, I've said this twice. So one contract, let it trend. And I will say this though, if it starts to trend in your direction and you want to double down, let yourself get at least 10 to 15% before you buy another one. And then if
Okay.
it goes in the negative, if you're really losing averse, fucking sell at 5%. I mean, even if that second one is losing, the first one is making enough to get you 5%, it doesn't matter. If you
Okay.
end, I will tell you, I have never felt better when I was ending up day after day after day. I mean, there was one day I lost $40 and I had made like, I don't know, $200 the week previous. And in my mind, I was emotionally compromised.
Okay.
So I was up
Yeah.
$160. And for some reason, I was emotionally compromised going, damn, why did I lose that? At one point that $40, that negative $40 was up $200, but I didn't sell. And I'm like, damn, and in my brain, I'm like, I lost $240. I lost the 200 I was up and the $40 that I actually ended up losing. Anyway, it's
Okay.
fighting that emotion is really, and so I'm gonna say, if you ever want to just feel successful, shoot for 5% a day. If you make 5%, even though your fees will be freaking crazy high, your fee percentage will be crazy high. Shoot for 5% a day. It will be nothing but emotional boost for you saying, yes, I made the right decision.
Okay. Nice.
Anyway,
And
sorry,
that's such
that
a
was a long story.
that's such a key thing, because I mean, you're going to lose trading. Like you're going to lose. That's 100% gonna happen. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I closed just in the last 30 days. I've closed 776.25 points per loss. Right? Not I'm still positive for the last month, but that's how many losing points that I've had,
trades, yeah.
which is
Yeah.
a lot. You know? It's
Yeah.
a lot.
Well, and that's the thing is that it's all us. It's honestly, from my perspective, it's more psychological for me than it is about making the money, because the money is just secondary, because I could be in a trade and win and still feel emotionally like drained. Like, oh my gosh, like you're in a bad trade and you just like, and I've done this a couple times where I double down. I mean, there was one time so I started off with one contract. I ended up closing the day out with 46 or 47 contracts because it was going in the wrong direction. Mind you, I am definitely not advocating for this. This is not the right way to do it. And it was purely emotional for me, and I was doing a very bad thing. I mean, I think I was at one point I was in like $1,800, which is not crazy amount of money, but in the end, like that's the worst thing to do. But the worst part is I actually got out and the market went the way I needed it to go, and I ended up. I mean, I think I was up like $200 or $150 minus the $75 worth of fees that I had to pay. But
It was not what you were supposed to do, though.
well,
So.
that's the thing, and that's the problem is that it's so conflicting. It is so freaking conflicting, because your whole goal is to make money. But the
Yeah.
truth is, your goal should be to be emotionally stable during the trade. It doesn't matter if making money is great, don't get me wrong, but if you are not emotionally stable at the end of a trade, whether you make it, whether you win it, or whether you don't, and you did things that went against your trade plan, you are fucked long term, no matter what you do.
Yeah. Okay.
Right, and that's the key, is long term, like, because this isn't just a day where, I mean, even just a year, right? You could have an amazing trading year, and then next year you trade like shit and lose all the money you gained the year before. It's constant improvement, constant, looking down to make sure those shoes are tied before you start walking. All of these things, like, every single day you have to remember that you're growing. And really the key to help you do these, or overcome some of these psychological barriers, is to start applying some of the tips and the tools that you're using in other parts of your life, right? Not just your trading. Like, okay, I'm going to be disciplined, but nowhere else. Like, I'm only going to be disciplined when I do trading, but everything else I'm just going to fucking freelance it, or I'm not going to prepare for it. I'm just going to shoot it from the hip. Well, that's not very good habits, because you have to think about your body, your endocrine system, right? Or your central nervous system has two forms of response, fight or flight. And so you want to get into that space where these reactions to these incoming emotions, because like I always say, you can't get out, you can't block these emotions out, right? They're always going to be there. The idea is to understand these emotions, and if you can possibly use them to your advantage or use them as signals, for whichever emotion that you're feeling. But if you're not implying these or implementing these things in other aspects of your life, and you're just hoping that they stick while you're trading, it's going to be a bit more of a struggle, right? Like if you say I'm going to watch the open every day, and then but I'm not going to trade it, and then you stayed up late last night, and then you're like, I don't feel like getting up, I'm not going to trade the open anyway, so who gives a shit, I'm not going to watch it. Well, there it is. There's the discipline, or like, and it's the same idea with everything, right? Like, oh, I'm gonna go grocery shopping today. Fuck, I don't feel like it. Not gonna go. Right? Well, there's the discipline is, it's gonna seep in, because when you're practicing all of these other things in other aspects of your life, and your body gets hit with these emotions, and you get into that fight or flight mode where you're just reacting on instinct rather than calmness and things like that, and that's what happens when your emotions get high. You're probably going to end up making mistakes.
Nice.
Does that help?
No. No, I think we kind of got up on a small tangent, but basically I was asking you how you develop your plan, because we were talking about numbers, and basically you told me that you developed a a system. Let's see if I can articulate this. You recognized that there were patterns that were developing. You developed a system that would recognize those patterns and take the emotion out of it. And so, but my question that we kind of got away from was, how do you take the information and develop the actual plan? And basically, your plan was to make an algo to trade whatever it's doing, whatever the numbers are telling you to do, and that's your plan. I'm not a programmer. I'm just a Joe Schmo. So that's
Well, it used to be a pilot. That's nothing to fucking just brush off.
no. Well, you're right. I did.
Yeah.
And hopefully one day I will again if I can get my medical back. But if I do go back to flying, it'll strictly be for recreation and adrenaline.
The reality is that we're all recognizing. I mean, Brad is recognizing patterns. He may not have recognized the patterns that I recognize, but that's what he's doing. I mean, part of the reason why he says, hey, this low traded this many contracts, and so I feel like we're going to get back down there or whatever. It's all based on patterns. I mean, as a human, that's what you do. Your entire focus in life is to recognize patterns. So it really is just a matter of you. And this is what that, I mean, Brad talks about this all the freaking time when you do the trade plan is that figure out if your gut or your pattern or what you're thinking in your brain is correct in the sim or whatever, or wherever you want to do it.
Yeah.
And then just do that over and over again. And eventually you get to the point where you're like, I trust myself enough to think that, I mean, my pattern is being proven. I mean, it's kind of like me against the algo. I mean, the truth is that why am I fighting the algo? It's a pattern I wrote.
Yeah.
It's the same premise. Whether it's my algo or whether you're just doing your trade plan, it's the same thing. You're sitting down, you're looking at the charts and saying, this is what I'm seeing, and you're defining these are the entries and these are the exits, and then running with it. And then how often are you right? Are you right more than you're wrong?
Okay.
Now, cutting and running is a whole different ballgame. That's the emotional piece of it. But that's kind of why we got off on the tangent.
Yeah.
Which you also asked about, which is the reason why I kind of went that direction. But that's a much harder sell, because I mean, honestly, you're having to convince yourself, is it okay for me to cut, or is this because I'm emotionally compromised?
Yeah, and it doesn't help me that I'm one of the most emotional people on the planet.
Well, and that's part of the reason why. And maybe for you, what would make sense is maybe in your trade plan, it's very explicit. When you reach 20.5%, you have to dump it. Or that's where you set your stop loss.
Okay.
So and I would say this: keep track. So when you get into a play, keep track. If you get out and it goes good, I mean, this is one thing I would say is whenever you do any trade, whether it's a win or a loss, is irrelevant. Follow that trade all the way through the end of the day or whatever period that you're actually going against,
Okay.
because you need to know, would I have been right? And I'm not advocating for you to go in negative 80%. I'm just saying, at least know, was your gut instinct right? Because then you can go back and say, did I just get in too early? Did I buy too many contracts? Did I not do a double down or whatever? I mean, however you want to word it, but the bottom line
Okay.
is that there's a lot of factors that, so I will tell you, the reason why my algo wins is not because it always knows when to get in and knows when to get out. My algo works because it knows when to buy in again.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's a freaking computer. It has no
Yeah.
emotion. It's like, oh, this particular thing happened, I'm going to do my thing.
Yeah.
It has no clue why it just did that, other than I told it, when this happens, do it.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Does that help better?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I rattle on a little bit. I'm
Well,
not gonna lie.
No, it's fine.
The one thing my uncle helped him, I think, is he is so meticulous when it comes to tracking his trades. Like, I mean, he's had just spreadsheets and spreadsheets, and I mean, we're all on there, and only one person's filling them out, right? One of my other uncles, he fills them out every once in a while, and then my other uncle just fucking, I mean, like, yeah.
He's like, blue moon. All right, time to write.
It's like, how many contracts did you trade? He's like, 500.
42.
I'm
Yeah.
like, fuck.
It moved 3 cents, and I made $4,000.
Yeah. But like, I mean, that's one
what are
thing
you
that
playing?
that's one thing that I think helped you so much, is that you kept track of everything. So like your trading journal, even though it was electronic, it was detailed, very detailed, with every single trade you made. So like that helped you so much, I think.
Yeah, it did. Well, and to see those numbers adding up, and I was doing it. I mean, when I was tracking the numbers based on, well, when I started using the value trade method, and I'll be honest with you, I still to a degree use the value even in the algo. Maybe not to the degree that I used it before, because of course a computer isn't as smart as being able to say, oh, I can see a trend here. Because when you're trending, you can extrapolate. You can look in the last 2 minutes and determine, does this correlate to the same thing that happened 2 weeks ago? Teaching a computer to do that is almost fucking never going to happen. Never going to happen. And so you kind of have to just sort of roll with it. But it does still use the value method in its precursor for how it actually does the trades. But it's very systematic and very regimented. It's like got a very particular carve out of what it looks at and says, this is what I'm focusing on.
Nice.
How close are we to the value area that have we filled that gap?
Yes, we just filled the gap now. So gap just filled. Yeah, then so we got value area high right here from that previous day, and then we have these two overlapping kind of point of controls down here around the 60 to 58 level. But I mean, overall the market was, fairly thin back here, but it makes sense for the market to come back and repair that gap. And this is a spot that we could possibly see a lot of short covering and then a bunch of responsive buying as well. So if you are still riding that short with me, I just closed mine on the gap fill, like I talked about. It's what I've been waiting for. And now, and this is one of the rare times, like I talked about, that I'm actually thinking about getting in a long right after I just closed the short, because I think with the low volume, there could be a possible later day reversal, right? I'm going to be patient, and I'm not just going to size up real fast, but I am looking to start a longer position from this area if we start to see continued weakness from sellers. And we haven't really seen I haven't really seen a lot of capitulation. It more looks like orchestrated selling on the way down, right? We don't really have a lot of single prints except for backup um, in the B. Oh yeah, the settlement gap. That's a good one, Dr. VJ. That's true. Wait for cessation. Yeah, that I am. Yeah, I know. But you know, it's in my trade plan to buy this gap, and so I took the you know I mean I had to follow my plan, right? This is my plan. This is what I plan to do. I'm up for the day anyways, so and this is a low risk trade for me, so there's no reason not to. It'll just, if it does start to hold, then I'll add some size as we possibly start to go up, you know. Yeah, yeah, I'm looking at the cash SPX for the gap. Yeah. I have so like I mean it really just depends. Normally James, that's where he tracks the gaps from, is from settlement. And so for me, I don't track the gaps from settlement. I just track them from highs to lows. Um, so Tyler, I'm already long. I took 2 longs from 74. So, you know, hoping we'll see. We can get that E high, you know, get back into the previous day's range above that 4101, then I might start adding some more. If not, you know, I can imagine that 4101, that's our balance low, monthly balance low, right? So if you know, if we were to come back up here, I won't be surprised to see some selling, some mechanical selling, you know, initiated selling down here to try to hold it below the previous day's low. But if we get accepted inside that previous day's range, right there on top of all the volume, that's probably where I'll be adding. Looking really to get above my original 31 to 28 level, where we should see some more short covering that could take us back to those highs possibly. And this is, like I said, this is a rare time, guys, where I will get out of a short and then jump into a long like this. I don't recommend it. I don't advocate it. It's just it happened. That's just how the cards happen to line up today, for me at least. Height rate should continue until inflation is, and then the tweet got cut off. Tamed. Oh, oh, there's James. Gap closed. Oh, he texts me. Gap closed. I knew my sweet panda never let me down. 15 minutes can get the cessation in the low 80s. That F high is mechanical right there. This too shall pass. You're smelling a reversal? Good. I hope so. The 062 today? Maybe down, yeah, down where all that volume was at. I could see that too. I could definitely see that. T size dominant orders and then daily down. Yeah, that's a good like a good how can I say it? Like a good routine LUP, like when you're like going into the charts and you're looking at the charts and you're like, fuck, I kind of don't feel like I know what's going on, to just take a step back and zoom out, you know. I like that. NPOC? What's NPOC? Oh, like number POC along with the three others it's stacked on. Yeah, there's a bunch of I mean, we got the virgin point of control down here at close to 5850, and then if we, you know, zoom this thing back a bit, you have all of these highs right around that 40 level. So I mean, there's still opportunity for oh, naked. Oh, okay. So okay. So I call it VPOC virgin, naked virgin. Right. Same thing. But yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that's what I'm talking about too. But you know, there's still opportunity for some people buying what I think happened, um, honestly, was we got a bunch of people shorting this day here, right? And there was a bunch of late buying yesterday, and continued into the Globex, and then maybe spilled down. I thought possibly yesterday at the close, which was late sellers, which I imagined that probably was correct, just because we had overnight inventory pretty much squeeze up the whole day. But you could just see how weak that was, how weak that overnight buying was. They were not willing to hold that at all, because it just sliced straight through there like butter this morning. So there's a cleanup of that mechanical F high. Now let's see what they've got up here. This 84 level is looking like a level of resistance. Let's see if they want to flip it and get above it. We had some buying here around this 80 level previously on the way down. People trying to buy before the low or front run, but they didn't get them. Virgin tomato. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. When's BTC gonna bounce? Um, that's a tough one. I don't know. So, I mean, right now it's just one time framing to the downside, and it's coming, right back into the point of control from the 29th. What was that, Sunday? Today's the 1st. Yeah, Sunday. Yeah. Sunday. Finally got over our first 15-minute, 6 above the zero line. Yeah, let's see what they've got here. You're starting to see some, what looks like to me on the DOM, some profit targets. Look at, starting to get a little bit more volatile. Watch the 86 quarter, then 88.50, then 90. And remember, they were kind of just selling every 5 points, right? So we had that 92 quarter was the level written down, and then 95 quarter a level written down as well. This I wanted to check. That's what it was. Oops. $6 billion still. Watch this New Zealand dollar, guys. It hasn't got a lot of love. I know it's been getting just the shit kicked out of it lately, but there's good opportunity for it if we get good news in the economy. I wanted to check. How do you spell that word? Palladium. Nailed it. Look who's getting good at spelling, guys. I've been fucking practicing. 92 and 95 big levels right now. Yeah, exactly. That I think as well. And a big level today, I think, is gonna be that 15. If this thing gets back above the 41.15, which is way up here, but if it gets back above this 41.15, you're gonna see a rally. This is a lot of emotion. Like, there's relatively low odds that this holds for the rest of the week, let's say. I could hold for the day, could hold for tomorrow, but there's relatively low odds that this weak ass structure holds like that. Not saying that it can't, it's just relatively low. But yeah, I think above that 15 is where a lot of people are going to be calling it a day for their shorts. That, yeah, end of 15, I guess, really. But yeah, up there. Yeah, I'm looking at that on the DOM. At that 92 level, you just saw that it's like 95. Yeah, there's like 3,619 lots, and then on the 92 quarter, 2,200. Big buy at 84. I didn't see it. I don't have an order flow chart on, so I don't see the. I just have the DOM on. I just see like a cumulative bid and ask. And then I can see like the last trades, but yeah, I don't use order flow. I stopped using it in like maybe February. I even turned off the 30-minute one. I used to use a 30-minute one, and then I just got rid of it because I was like, I was taking too many trades I didn't need to take. So Amazon's still up. Oops, let me switch this back. Yeah, Amazon's still up. Take a look at it. Oh, it's up compared to yesterday, I guess, because yesterday is this level. So let's add an alert. That way we know that if Amazon flips red, we want to make like a tree. All day short and cover late in the day. That would make sense. I wouldn't be surprised. That's a good way to get fucked. Yeah. Yeah, the order flow gets a lot of people, and like because it seems like such a good thing and it can be useful, and then especially when you look at it in hindsight, it's like, oh, well, there it is, clear as fucking day, right? Um but, then you're like, oh, whoops. Yeah, let's see if that tick wants to push down there. Deltas. Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, I like looking at delta. I have a delta whatever it's called. Well, I guess it's not. It's just it's like a bid ask profile, so I can kind of read the delta from there. You see the numbers skewed to one side or the other. Just know that those levels are more one-sided trades. Like if you look at the 10, right? There's a big delta on the 10. There was a weird, and this morning actually, there was a look on the 55, I think it was. Let me scroll up right here. The 55. There was, yeah, look on the 55 right here. All this volume traded on the ask. These were all buy orders, like absorption from, I mean, obviously, but people were just fucking banging their heads against this thing. Bah, 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 bah. They finally let it go. It didn't take the overnight high. That was our signal. It came back down to the support area, didn't hold that. Second signal, and then just started kind of going down. Was able to take the previous day's low, and then, able to fill that gap so far. Yeah, it looks like it couldn't get, it got below that zero, but couldn't stay down. This 84 level is a key level. Get all the volume coming in here. Negative 16.99 at the lows at 74. So they're squashing out now, I bet. At 74. Oh yeah, I see that. Yeah, yeah. All right, guys, I covered one at 84. I have one left, and my stop loss is at break even. It's at 74. So it goes back down. Like I said, I wanted to buy the gap. I bought the gap, but I'm not just gonna let it, keep one time framing down against me just to try to be right. I've been struggling with making a plan, but I'm thinking it doesn't really matter whether your plan is to take longs or shorts, but rather to help you focus on seeing the setups for your plan, because you can short an uptrend or vice versa with success. You just have to have a better chance if your plan happens to be correct for the day. Yeah, I mean, you just have to look for those areas that, maybe a response, like if let's say the market is trending up and you're looking to short, you want to be patient and wait for the areas to um to show up, right? And you've got to be kind of monitoring the auction for it to give you those signals that, hey, um it is going to be a short, right? And there's going to be some responsive selling or something's got to give you that indication, right? We don't want to just be like, okay, well, my level is this and I'm just going to buy it no matter what. The thing for me that I try to focus on is the current flow that's going on, and I try to just trade with it, because typically if you're going in the right direction, even if you have poor entries, you can still sneak your way out and profit, um as long as you're not over leveraging yourself. And then when you're going against the trend and you have a bad entry, sometimes it can go bad quick, right? But yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I don't think it matters whether you're long or short. It matters where you're long or short from and when, right? Timing beats speed and precision beats power. Yeah. And if this low holds, it'll be the third time in 5 days that we've low ticked the market. Just fucking taking lunch money. They've been McLovin selling 82, 87 most of the morning. Next level up be that 88 to 90 level. If they're able to get this cessation here. Thanks, man. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I mean, it just makes sense, that they come back, repair the gap, and I mean, we could definitely continue going down, and there's pretty much everything saying that we are going to keep going down. But it was just a spot that I had identified that we could possibly get these responsive buyers, and it makes sense as a place. If you're going to cover a short, makes sense this would be a place that you cover that short at. And if you think about it as well, think about it in the way of inventory of when a lot of these people are holding these positions. So here's T1, here's T2. If you're short on this day, right, and you held through yesterday, right? Yesterday, maybe you shorted, maybe you got stuck right here in this excess, because we had a lot of people stuck short here, I'm sure, and it really never came back down there, and that's why we short covered yesterday, came back to it, sellers came back in. It makes sense. Where are you going to cover your short at? Well, finally get back to profit, start covering shorts, and then those are not, it's not new money, but it is buying. So it makes sense for a little baby bounce that we got. I'm still slightly favoring the downside too, even though I'm in a long. Just because of how the day's gone so far, you just haven't seen any buying step up. The breadth is you know, looking like a giant bag of shit, and Apple looks like a giant fucking, you know, poison rotten apple. You know, not even just poison, it's just poison and rotten, so just double bad. Um, but Apple's kind of grinding out a bottom here too as well. So, but all it takes is just, you know, one bigger money seller with this low volume today to come in and just fucking smack the market. And that's why we always manage risk. E counts have been over C counts by 10x today. Damn. I heard England is voting on eliminating the peach emoji. Any truth to that, my UK people? That it seems like such a fucking mundane argument with what's going on in Europe. Yeah, well, like close to Europe at least. Power and all that shit. A lot of buys at 84, yeah. Yeah, they've been trying to hold that level here. They just got to get above. They really just got to get above that 95, it looks like. Above that 95, there's going to be some space. They'll probably try to go back up to that prior day low, that 4101. That's what I heard. I swear to God, I heard that. Yeah, I mean, I read it on Twitter. But yeah. It just seems kind of funny. Oh, Google L2. I'm surprised Facebook flipped red. Facebook started off green, strong, and then just totally got demolished and is now way back below yesterday's low. But so here's an interesting thing too to look at. So if we look at the market, right? So here's yesterday. We're below yesterday's low, obviously. But you look at Amazon. Here's yesterday's low way down here. Apple, yesterday's lows way down here. Microsoft, yesterday's lows way down here. Google. Oops, I clicked on the wrong one. But yeah, yesterday's lows way down here. Tesla broke its low, but has since re-entered its previous day's range. You know, so the selling is coming from a lot of the other stocks that were weak yesterday. So it's not that we're really seeing anything different than yesterday, right? Yesterday was kind of held up, especially if we look at this, the market diary. Right, this is something that I post in the trade view. We can see yesterday the advances were only 1,000 to 2,000, right? And it was like a plus one-ish day, right? Like, I mean, it was basically a flat day, but the declines were 2 to 1. And so this was telling us with what was green yesterday, and for that we go over to our boy Finviz. Click on our map. Close. Oh, maybe this is. I wonder if this is updating live. Oh, it is. You bitch. Well, there's the weak performance so far. So this kind of shows into yesterday, right? You can kind of see the big winners yesterday. Amazon was up 11%. Tesla was up 12%. Right? Were the big tech stocks, right? We had some green other spots, but not really a ton of strength. And then, you know, we go to today and we can kind of see this fucking ad wasn't here. That today really, I mean, besides Salesforce and Amazon and some energy, which are defensive anyways, aren't really doing much. Bitcoin keeps getting a little smackarooski. Yeah, that 6-to-1 split is definitely bullish. Or six, yeah, I agree. GME splitting too. Yeah, that is interesting because a lot of those positions in GameStop are with options. What's the split gonna be? They have earnings. Classic. Strange world. Yeah, it surely is. Oh yeah, there it is. Yeah, they want to ban it. Yeah, because it's because of its sexual. So fucking stupid. All right, so the market just held that 84 level again. Let's see if it can get some life here. And you can kind of see we've carved out where our half pipe's going to be at. Here's the lip of our half pipe. We go down, and that 84 becomes the second lip of the half pipe. And I mean, it's not technically mechanical when you see these levels like this with the same exact as the C, but I'm always suspicious when I see things on the profile like that when they just and it just seems like you know, you're like, what? Why is it like that? It doesn't look normal. But I mean, we have, you know, it's almost like our two distributions, kind of like we had yesterday, right? So here's a distribution here, get your little distribution above. If it gains some steam, wanted to hold that 84, still kind of struggling, might not have the gas yet, or might just, you know, be ready to keep going down. But if that's where, you know, if it should break out of this upper distribution, that kind of becomes the target, is these 3 TPOs up here. Because the market is in constant search for value, right? And so we've got value down here. 4 TPOs is the widest part of our profile today. Should it break up, all of these will become a 3, right? And then up here would become a 4. So this would be the most valued spot up there. So that's where it would make sense for it to try to go up to. Hey Alexa, play half pipe. Oh, we can see. That's like my new car, bro. My new car. Just get on my phone. I'm like, yo, better start up. And it's like starting up. Above 85, 75. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this bar closes for sure. Because I mean, we haven't taken the low of F period yet, so you know, technically we do have decent excess. That F high is semi-mechanical, right? It's right there at the high from the 26th. So not really the strongest reference to hold people buying a previous day's high. But doesn't necessarily say that it's gonna take it with the lack of volume. Let's see what the volume's looking like now. Yeah, it's still picking up. I mean, we started off the day negative 20 and we're negative 8 now, so it is picking up a little bit. Going back into that little gap here. What's calling me? Hello? Hey. That's good. All right. Yeah, I don't know. I was looking at that too. Yeah, because I typically anytime it just stays below 800, kind of like a sign for me. Like I'm like, what is going on? But it has been climbing a bit here. Interesting that Google took the low though. Where's my flats? Oh, it broke the open, not the previous day's low. Oh, what's happening? Crypto market hit a big SR line a few minutes ago. Yeah, I'm wondering. I'm kind of just waiting. So I had drawn a balance zone, balance area here, and as we're getting back towards the top of it, if Bitcoin gets accepted, definitely good odds back down to the center area around 29 5. But I mean, with kind of how the market's going, it seems like the target might be down here 27, um, and maybe test this excess here. I still think Bitcoin has decent odds to come back down to 20K. We're gonna find out if this low is gonna hold or not right here. They're trying. 137 contracts trade on the low. Yeah, I agree. I agree with that with the crypto thing. I think that they do have there is a good like a good chance that they just kind of run it through that. If these sellers just fucking give up right here, this is weak ass shit. When waiting for the price to re-enter a balance zone, what do you wait? Get caught in a failed break or breakdown. So like when I'm looking to get back into this balance zone and looking for acceptance, what I'm mostly looking for is to see, right? So these point of controls pretty much are all lining up, right? So if I don't get a strong reaction inside this area and come back out, and it just like, you know, maybe kind of gives me a little bit of this, that gives me what I want to see to trade back down to like the next set of point of controls, and then the next set of point of controls down here at 29.5. 270. Oh, there goes the low. So I mean, it's more or less like, I mean, it's just like a feel, I guess, when you're in the situation looking to get that position. Watch the 74 level. I mean, like I said, they're just selling it like so mechanically down. It's just there's no buyers. It's like a almost like a buyer strike today. There's just nobody buying it really. All the buying that's gone today is just short covering for the most part. Bullard is about to be on to see if he says anything useful. But yeah, it honestly, Otto, it really just comes with like how you're feeling in that moment. You know what I mean? Like they call it like what did trading in the zone. They called it like being in the zone. You know what I mean? And so like it's just if you set yourself up to try to get into that zone as easily as possible, and you kind of, you know, it's all about what's happening right now. That's why it's so hard to um for me at least, it's so hard for me to just put a trade and uh fire and forget. You know what I mean? Like like let's say um you know, you think Globex is going to go one way or another, right? So you're just like, but I'm not going to watch because Globex is so slow, and you're just like, I'm just going to put it on and then walk away, or whatever happens, right? This is just a for instance. Next level up is at 84, I think. You know, I've got to be there to like watch it and to feel it and to like trust it. I feel like so it's all kind of like in the moment, but I mean, really, by watching it so many times, you kind of see them do the same thing. They're like, oh, here's what they're doing. It was like Friday. Like I don't know if you trade on Friday, but Friday was probably like the easiest day to trade, um, because it was, you know, all uh weak-handed traders. Weak-handed traders are exposed a lot, so it's easy to see where they're at. And then if you see that, right, like so like let's say for what we're looking for on Bitcoin, right? If we see that it's weak-handed traders, what we'll see is we'll start seeing bounces off of mechanical levels. So maybe they bounce right off of this high, bounce right off of this high, right? Those will be weak levels. That'll tell you that those are weak buyers, and I just wait patiently, give it some time, and then go with it. Find a good spot to get in and go with it. If it goes fast, you know, look for a pullback and be patient and wait for it to go. But understand that, you know, you've got these VPOCs down here that it can bounce off as well. It's a pretty big balanced area. But Bitcoin is a little bit different than the ES or the NASDAQ. You know, it's a whole different ballgame. Watch the 84 level here. If they get above the 84, there's decent odds that this thing trades up to that 94. No, so yeah, because the value area is right here. It increases the odds that we'll trade back down to the point of control. And then if there is no reaction at the point of control, then you trade to the low end of value. So it would make sense, like let's say if we keep breaking, we break down this area down here that's value, but that has weak volume. 40.52 to like 40.40, right? Makes sense if buyers are going to responsibly buy. This is probably where they're waiting if they're not going to just buy the point of control, right? So as a responsive buyer, you can be aggressive and buy the point of control, the VPOC that's up here, or you can be a little bit, it's like aggressive, responsive, and just responsive. Kind of like what I think this E high was. Like sellers, you know, they're obviously in control today. It's pretty obvious. But I think that these sellers right here at this like 94-ish level are weak. And they were possibly a bit too aggressive, and you know, we may see them come up here. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's gonna keep going, right? You have opportune sellers responsively waiting in this area, I imagine, to sell the previous day's low. If that's I mean, that's just kind of how I'm looking at this auction, or like how we're kind of playing it out, and we just have to kind of see. And so there is a lot of times when I'm just sitting here talking about the market and not in a trade, and just, you know, watching and identifying and waiting for it to get to my level to decide what I want to do. You know what I mean? It really does come with a lot of time. That's why a lot of people set up alerts and things like that. For me, you know, I like it. I could sit here all fucking day, if I'm being honest. And when I get to Pennsylvania and the market doesn't even open till fucking 9:30, I'm gonna be on a different fucking level, I swear. Nah, because I fucking hate waking up early. I hate it. I did it for like, you know, 13 years in the army, and it was fucking miserable every time. And you would think you would get used to it, you know, but some people, I just think, you know, they're not morning people. And that's probably why I'm not a farmer, because as a farmer, you got to get up early and start tending fields and shit. My brother's for. More of like a, you know, I need that extra hour to just see the market, because I don't think I'll get up any later. Like right now, I get up at like 5 o'clock in the morning, West Coast time. Um, but that's 8 o'clock East Coast time, right? Well, by 8 o'clock, I'm already gonna be dropped off the kids and back home, and I'll have already been up for at least an hour before then. Because 7 a.m. wake up, I mean 7 a.m. I could do that all day easily, and so I'll have extra hours on the market. Really, is how I'm looking at it. Uh, Also, another question: is there any way without order flow tools to know that the rally during the open was short covering? I don't even think there is a way with order flow tools to know that. Um, that's all speculation, really. Like that's all just assuming. It's just no. There's no way to know that. Not with like 100% certainty. You couldn't do farming if you had to save your life. I like to farm shit. It's just not, I don't like to farm it early. Like, you know what I mean? Like, luckily for me, tomatoes can grow at any time of the day, no matter what. Grow, they're easy. That's why I fucking hate these homeless parks, because it's like, you guys take up all this land. Like, why don't you fucking start growing some shit? When I was in Korea, like they don't waste space over there. They're growing rice like in between the freeway. You know what I mean? Like the little gap in between the freeway. They just fucking throw some rice in there. Yeah, I like that. I like waiting. Yeah, I like the idea of waiting an hour before you trade. Like watching the first hour of the market and kind of trying to get the feel for it. Back to the 84 level, guys. Right? Watch this area. This is a level where if they give this up and you start to see support, we could really start moving. Remember, we're starting to hit the bend part of our half pipe, and pick up speed is where that happens. That the bending part of a half pipe. But yeah, I mean, I like the idea of waiting for that first hour to be closed, and then deciding, um, you know, what what your idea of the auction is and who's in control. And if you decide sellers are in control, then you start looking for a spot. Okay, where should I get short from? Not, oh, sellers are in control, I'm just going to get short, right? You still got to plan that extra step. Posting from your combine? Nice. Yeah, my brother just got a new attachment to his tractor. He can pick up trees and shit. It's sick. Like, I like driving tractors and shit too. The shit is fun, right? Like, not for a living, maybe. Depends. I don't know. I've never done it. Could like it. Could be really good at it. This is where they're gonna want to sell if they're trying. Yeah, this 84 level. Yeah, they're gonna have to. This is the level they've got to hold. If they give it up, it's probably probably that 94, but probably honestly that 4110 maybe. Stomach's growling at me. Hungry today. All right, we'll see you later, man. Have a good one. But I mean, yeah, I don't like it. I don't think there's really a clear way to see, you know, short covering or anything like that. It's just with your understanding of the current auction where you can just assume that that is short covering. That's why I tell people really not to track the cumulative delta of the ES for uh, long or short signals, because the market can just be going up and up and up, and delta going down and down and down and down. And so that doesn't really make sense, but that's how it happens, because the orders are getting hidden, right? Because if they made it that obvious, people would just be like, oh, cumulative delta's up today, I guess I'll just wait for a pullback and buy it. And then, same thing on the opposite side. So they hold that 84 once again here. That H low is mechanical right at that G half back. So when we're starting to see this kind of inside bar form, right? G took the high and the low of F, and now H is still kind of trapped inside of G period. So you want to be paying close attention to the tempo as we get towards that high or low of G, and that's going to give us a little bit of insight on which direction the market wants to start testing. Apple looks to be trying to break out of a low range here from the downside, but not very well. Still below its open, but it does look like it wants to try it. So notice the tempo, right? So as it comes up, they try to hold up here. If the market does break the G high, watch for the impulse and then see if they can hold that impulse. 85% of the market is an illusion, aka not real. Two-way market activity. Just the same few assholes trading shares and contracts back and forth amongst themselves. That's a pretty good, I would say, a pretty good deduction of most likely what's happening. And you've got a lot of like hand-me-downs, hand-me-overs. So they're picking it up. So notice tempo's starting to pick up a little bit here, right? So see if they can take the stops. The stops will take us up to 90. And then we want to hold the impulse. So watch to see where we impulse from. If we impulse. Might just fucking fail right here at the high. VIX is coming down. Starting to see some buying. So impulse 87.75. Holding above. Littering in. Littering in. Smoking the reefer. So there's the stops. Got them all up to 90. The next level 94. Oh, 92 quarter has had a lot of selling on it, I guess, when we broke. Remember, I really don't like this E high just because it's just weird looking. You know what I mean? Maybe that's profilist. When I say impulse, so when I say impulse, what I'm doing is I'm watching like kind of where it's going, because it's like just kind of doing this, right? Just kind of deciding where the bid's gonna be at. And it was fuck, I can't look at this. It was 87.75. There it was. And so basically what I'm looking for is I'm looking for a spot where the market's going to bounce above and then not come back to. So like it came to this 72, it popped, and that's where we got the break of that G high, and it came back but never came back down to that level. And that's kind of where, that's how I do my impulse levels. And mostly, I'm looking at these levels when the market looks to be more breaking out, more than just kind of rotational like it is now, right? But if I'm looking for a continuation of the current trade that I'm in, that's one thing I want to see it hold, right? So if it didn't hold that 40 or the 87.75 and came back down through it, that would give me what I need to know that I'm going to cut my long trade. Yeah, so here's this next level. 94 is the next level that we're looking for. Hmm. James, I sent you a picture. So this makes sense right here, right? So now that we've cleaned up that weak reference, it would make sense. We're kind of at the center of our half pipe if sellers wanted to be a little bit more aggressive and move down, right? We saw them initially move down to here, right? There was some selling here. They got aggressive, E period, they kind of closed it off, right? Well, now they cleaned it up. And so it makes sense if they want to try it again, now's their chance. We heard that. Snap someone. We got a nice trade going. Tommy. Uh, I don't have Snapchat. I think I do have a Snapchat, but I don't like I don't have it downloaded and I don't remember the password for it. So that's not what you thought it was, the impulse? Does it help or does it make it worse, Pop? Oh, the camera snap. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. The sound was on, yeah. I have my headphones on so I can't hear shit unless it's coming from the computer. Helps a lot. Okay, I'm glad. I did, Tommy. Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did. Well, they held that 94 pretty strong right there. Fed's forward guidance is already affecting the economy. This coming from Fed Bullard. Credibility of our 2% inflation target is under strain. Global QT should put upward pressure on rates. The Fed must follow through forward guidance with rate hikes. And remember, today was the first day of quantitative easing or quantitative tightening. I mean, QT. The Fed's buying back or whatever, however the fuck it works. But today was the day that it started. So look, there's a buyer there. Remember, this is the spot. It was that 87.75 earlier, which was our impulse, and come back down and then got a little pop right there. So there seems to be a buyer stepping up around like an 84, 86 level where you're seeing this hold so far. Yeah, the seller at that level is like, nah. Nice, Tommy. Good day for you. Oh, no. Yeah, an impulse is impulse is like is just like a term that I use to help me track um the bid, like where the buyer's at, where like the actual buyer's at, right? Because we can get what's the fuck? We can get like let's say like we have this buyer here, right? He's at 87.75 or around this area. Um he could have been buying this, buying it, and then just decide, you know what, that's enough for me. I'm gonna buy it later somewhere down here, or like, you know what I mean. And so that's where I'm trying to track him, and that gives me what I use it for is to form continuation with my trades. And so the impulse, if you get a nice impulse like that, and the impulse comes from a stop run error, that's the best way to find it, at least for me, is to find the impulse and see it hold and to track that buyer if he's still going to be there. The second test, third test, fourth test of that 87.75, he might just be done buying there. So I don't really watch it so many times after that. I do have it, in my mind thinking, okay, that's where he was at last time. If it doesn't break that level, I'm good to go. I could even add. Um, but you want to, most of the time it's going to come from a stop run. And I wasn't paying attention right here, so we're fucked. No, I'm just kidding. Just gotta, I mean, they're gonna have to get above this 94 if they want to get back up to that prior date low. And a little bit of aggressiveness from the longs, but that could be profit taking too. Yeah, Tommy, I was just building up down there. Yeah. Yeah, my ads were 75, 75, 76, 74, 74, 74, 74, 79 quarter, 78, 75. And then I closed two at 84 quarter and 83.75. And then two more at 94 quarter. Just debating on whether or not I just want to call it. Get my workout in before I get too tired. Fucking shit. I hate moving. It's so just the worst. And I've done it so much my entire life. Like from like childhood, I've always been moving. I'm just so excited to just move to the East Coast, get a house, and just fucking be done moving for a bit. Unless shit starts popping off, but I'm gonna be chilling. Cannot wait. I'm just dreading. I gotta go through my kids' room and get rid of all the shit that they don't need. It's gonna take like a week at least. So watch this 94 here. 94, 95 area was a big area earlier for sellers. If buyers are able to establish above up here, you could start to see them look to go test that prior day's low at 102.75. 700 million package brings total U.S. military aid to Ukraine to 4.6 billion since Russia's invasion began. And the people in Detroit still don't have water. Just saying. Can you imagine not having water like that you could just drink? Like, I mean, I just don't understand how they can't fix that. There's got to be a way. And it's been years. So there goes those stops. They finally decided that they wanted to push it up a little bit. Now we're coming into the steepness of our half pipe here, right? So we started out on our half pipe. We got to the low spot. We gained some speed. Now we're coming back up to the ramp of our half pipe, and this is where it starts to slow down. So what we're looking for here, if we want to see continuation, we don't mind seeing a bit of pullbacks, but what we don't want to see is a big give up back down into the range where the volume started, which was about that 94 level. If they start to give that up, that gives good odds for the low side. So we'd like to see just small, tiny rotations, you know, but we want them to stay on that second half of our half pipe, so to speak. If they start to come back, then more odds for the downside. Remember the VPOC is here at 79. The buying in the market is just looks like it's about to give. It's been holding pretty steady, but it looks like it's getting tired. Apple's coming down a little bit here. Just weak sauce. Notice the tempo down here. A little bit slow. Shorted 97.75. Nice. Fucking nailed it. Coinbase Solana network halted. Oh. Uh-oh. Look at crypto. Oh, Sol's just getting the smack of its life. Oof. Not looking good. So remember, we've got this level, and this is the prior day lows at 4102.75. But remember, the 4101 is the monthly balance low. Let me see. Oops. Charts. 4101.75. So that 102.75, 101.75. We see a lot of volume there. It's where we can expect some responsive sellers to possibly be lingering. Tesla navigation will now take predicted crosswind, headwind, humidity, temperature into account for calculating battery percentage on arrival. This is in addition to the current factors: predicted speed, HVAC use, elevation changes, current temperature, and route distance. So
Now, if only you could take the idiot factor involved on the person pushing the pedal.
if only. I mean, pretty soon it'll be like iRobot. You just get in the cars and
There are so many freaking posts in the Tesla forum about my range is different than what it says. Blah 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 blah. Are you freaking speeding around like a freaking speed demon? What do you think?
yeah.
How's that going to work? I mean, and that was the thing, is it really blew me away. Somebody was actually like, well, in an ICE car, internal combustion engine, in an ICE car, when you press on the gas, you're going to, your mileage is going to be lower. And I'm thinking, but the difference is you are not going to go from 0 to 400 horsepower in the push of a pedal on an ICE car. It's just never going to happen. So the ramp up of that can't use the same amount of energy as opposed to an electric car. You're never going to get it. Anyway, people are stupid. Just saying. Throwing that out there. That's why they have to calculate freaking crosswind. I mean, come on, for real?
Sorry, my son called. No, I agree. That's something I always tell my kids. Most people suck. And that's just so true. Like I always try to tell them that. Like most people suck. Most people.
Well, there's
just
that phrase. A person is smart, but people are dumb.
I period opens up. Look at the volume. 6%. So volume did pick up a little bit down here. That H low is still mechanical. That's not a. I'm not a huge fan of that. Amazon's the only thing that's green now. The breadth has gotten a little bit less though. It was 3-1. It was actually 4-1 at one point. Now it's 2-1 on the NYSE and 3-1 on the Nasdaq. Apple's coming back down though, back towards those lows. It has a mechanical low as well. Apple does. So here's kind of what I think the market's going to do, because I'm going to go work out. I'm pretty much done watching for now. But basically, we can get one of two things, right? Buyers can step up on this 94 and they can keep holding it, and then the upside comes and we get this battle over the 4101. And then depending upon which way that 4101 goes, that's kind of going to make sense. If they don't hold this 94, I can imagine them just kind of drifting and bleeding down to clean up this mechanical low. And then below here, back in that gap is really where it's going to depend if we get some initiating sellers moving down lower, or they just, the selling just shuts off because it's going to be late in the day. Market will just kind of finish in this, kind of balanced lower here. That's kind of how I see the rest of the day working out. If we do get initiated selling, we'll be looking down here for this 60, 58, 50. Right, we have value area high over here. I mean, pretty much right there at that G low. So, acceptance below the G low would kind of give us the guidance that we're going to probably trade down to that 58. With Bitcoin, right, I wouldn't even think about getting long until we get a cessation of one-time framing, right? Don't try to fight what's going on in the crypto market, because I honestly don't know what the deal is with the whole Solana network getting halted. But yeah, other than that, you guys have a wonderful day. Thank you for hanging out. Make sure that you are managing risk and sticking to your trade plan. If you do not have a trade plan, make sure that you make a trade plan. And if you don't know how to make a trade plan, ask in the Discord and someone will definitely hook you up. A lot of people are starting to post their trade plans every day, so steal someone else's. Use it as a template and then change it the ways that you need to change it to make it unique for you. That's how everything is created, honestly. Everyone, every idea that seems amazing to masses was probably somebody's idea that got changed 5 or 6 times until it became what it is. But yeah. All right, Zoe, have a good one. Pop, see you later. Tommy, take it easy. See you, Trin. See you, Dan.